Hello, welcome to the
Hi.
Interjections podcast. This is a podcast where we look back at the 1990s. We try to go exactly 30 years into the past. So we're currently in July 1994, looking back at a hidden gem we want to talk about. That's why we've subtitled this the Undiscovered Decade. We always go into this thing a spinner wheel so we can pick one of the four of us to discuss it. And everyone's finally gone once. We're halfway through the year in this
Finally.
experimental phase. So let's see who gets to go a second or third time.
Or fourth.
Hey,
Oh,
Cory,
golly.
2 months
yeah.
in a row.
He's catching up with the rest of us.
All
I
right,
haven't
so
said the name yet.
basically the plot is Jeff Bridges
Of
is a demolitions expert at in the Boston PD. He notices a series of bombings that has a rather remarkable signature that he recognizes. And it turns out it might be somebody from his past who was in the IRA. We're not quite sure what their connection is until later in the movie, though. That's basically the plot.
basically.
Well,
Were you
slight twist to avoid like political controversy. The organization that they were part of weren't like it was revealed they weren't exactly part of the IRA. They kind of broke off and were too radical,
They're too
sure?
even
extreme.
for
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
Yeah.
Were you
The
blown
Splinter
away by
cell.
this movie?
Yeah.
We hadn't said the name yet. It's Blown Away.
Blown away.
Oh, I'm blown away by the title.
Not to be confused with Flushed Away. The
And not to be confused with
Aardman.
the Corey Haim movie that came out a year before this.
Yeah, no, I brought
yeah,
that up.
yeah.
I told you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
When we were looking it up, he was a little confused.
Yeah. I was
Did
very
you click
confused.
on Flushed Away, Jeff, and start watching that
I
accidentally?
did.
Really?
It took me at least 30 minutes to realize, oh wait,
Hugh Jackman wasn't in
this
Uh,
one doesn't have Jeff Bridges in
it.
This is really cutting edge technology
it.
for
For 1994.
Oh, yeah.
1994.
Wow, this is a lot more lighthearted than they described it.
And when does he start bombing the sewers?
Oh,
I don't
boy.
know.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, so it's basically a series of elaborate who's that guy that does the intricate machines? I was trying to think of a term.
Saw.
He does like Rube Goldberg bombs,
Oh, yeah.
which is
Yeah,
like only
no.
he could figure this out.
Like the
It's
Tom and Jerry mechanisms.
it's
Yeah.
somewhere between
Yeah.
Backdraft and Saw.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
perfect description.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of
This was my first rated R film, and it's a bit of a guilty pleasure
Oh.
for me. Yeah, I mean, at all. I didn't go into theaters to see it, but like any rated R film. So I saw this pretty soon after it came to like the movie channel or whatever we were watching in 94. But it was probably my introduction to Tommy Lee Jones as well. And he's my favorite actor. This is not exactly why, but this led me to look back at like things he had just done, like, The Fugitive or Coal Miner's Daughter, stuff like that.
For as much scenery chewing as he does in this, he might be eclipsed by Lloyd Bridges.
Yeah, Lloyd Bridges is putting on a heavy Irish accent. I don't think he got over Hot Shots Part 2.
Yeah, you know it's funny when he shows up in the movie, other than the fact that he's Jeff Bridges' dad, you're like, does he think he's in a spoof movie? Because he
Right.
pitched his performance at that.
Yeah.
he just
Please.
lives at that level.
No, yeah, no.
Maybe.
He's an old man. He could behave any way he wants, even if like, whatever movie universe he's in. That's
Yeah.
just who he's
One
gonna
of his
play.
last movies. So let him live. Well,
Although
Yeah.
he did have a very serious and dramatic ending in the movie,
Yeah.
so like balances it out.
I do
guess.
love that scene. That is one of my favorite bombs.
Although I'm a little still confused by that explosion because like there's a statue missing a head afterwards that like with that kind of force knocking a statue head off like a few yards away, like there should be like so much more damage.
It's a movie.
That's the only
And
thing
Jeff
I'm critical
Bridges is in
about. There's just like
between the
there's a
statue and the
spot where
bomb.
there should be more
Movie
mayhem.
magic.
Well, it's like, not when someone throws something off screen, there's always a cat that it hits, It's
Uh-huh. That's why when
it's
Jimmy said that
dramatic
during the movie,
effect.
I was like, cinema.
No,
Well,
I don't
I mean,
even care. I don't even care if there was symbology involved with that statue, with like how like because there was a before and after, and like
it's
the
about
symbol-
smashing the patriarchy, man.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
He's like-
no, I got that, but just like part of me just couldn't turn that bit of my brain off. Whereas like the explosion should have been like
I mean,
there should have been so much death.
yeah,
Everything else was so
that's-
realistic.
That's
Oh,
fair.
yeah.
That's why Jimmy's our munitions expert.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Like,
the prison escape at the beginning was very plausible.
Yeah, he wasn't gonna get thrown into the bars. concussed.
Yeah, I was
I
not
mean,
expecting to see
he should have had a
You
missing
use
limb.
earplugs either.
I also love the
I was-
bomb squad making the girl continue to type instead of putting someone on their own squad in her place. You could very
Yeah.
easily have started like moving your finger
She
over where hers
she had a
were.
groove, man. She was in flow. She had a groove going. You didn't
She
want to
didn't sign a
disturb her.
waiver.
But I was, you know, what kind of movie this is going to be when like 3 minutes into the
Well-
movie, you see someone vomiting up a condom full of volatile chemicals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's all right. We're going full Man in the Iron Mask here, aren't we?
Well,
Mhm.
the interesting thing is everything's shot with all this high style and velocity, and we covered this director before with
That's true.
Judgment. I think a lot of the movie gets by just based on his style and direction.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I also like how with building suspense, they got like really up close, extreme like
Mm.
close-ups, like
Going into the
I mean,
phone,
it's-
going into the bomb
yeah.
itself. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, or even looking at electricity going down a wire.
hmm Which
Yeah.
looks seamless, even though it's probably like a miniature that they're seaming together or sewing together on the film, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Because like a
kinda
lot of it, I'm
practical mixed with
looking at it,
CGI.
just imagining like that's actually way bigger than it probably is that
Mhm.
we're seeing. Like
And it's not
just to get
completely
that detail.
fabricated.
Yeah.
You know what stood out as a weird like set, not an actual practical location, was the birthday party scene.
Mm.
That looked like a set to me. The fences were really high, so you couldn't see any of the background, and it was
Yeah.
lit like a set.
That's fair. I mean, I've seen yards like that, so it seemed realistic. So if it
Yeah.
is a fake, it's a really good fake.
No, it is.
Plus, they use that house later, so I imagine they found the perfect house, like somewhere in South
Yeah.
Boston that's too cramped, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, one way or the other, it looked cool to me.
No,
Yeah.
definitely.
I kind of remember seeing like backyards like that when I lived in Brooklyn, except not as nice.
hmm
Similar, but not as
That's
nice.
Brooklyn. I like Jeff Bridges' performance in this too. Like, I didn't remember how much I liked it back then. I didn't realize this was probably also my introduction to him. But his lackadaisical style that he perfects in The Big Lebowski, it's at first what gives him charisma. That's why Susie Amos is into him.
Yeah.
And I think that's the charm of this movie. He like commands his team. He commands his team so much he gets brought back after retiring. Like he's clearly
Bring him
the guy
back for
everyone
one
wants
more
around.
job.
Yeah. So I think that's a credit to Jeff Bridges' charm that he can win anyone over, audience or character.
Yet we're still made to believe that he's supposed to be Irish.
He lost the accent. He
Yeah,
starts
so-
to have a lilt somewhere in the movie and then doesn't even try.
He adds it in for
Yeah.
for the connection.
Yeah, no, he has a few like slight like accent jumps here or there. I'm just like, what is he trying to do?
He's been in the country 20 years. You only turn
mean,
Tennessean when you get drunk.
I mean,
He should definitely have been
Yeah.
Irish when Susie Amos comes home and he's drunk in the hot tub. He should have been like full on
yeah,
accent,
yeah.
like broken down,
I thought
Um,
Forrest Whitaker
what's-
came off pretty unlikable though.
Yeah, I guess he's supposed to be.
He's a little
He's-
too cocksure, and I was just like,
He's
he's
the young
all
upstart.
Well, he invited himself to his the guy he's replacing's wedding.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Never seen that happen before.
And he's already
Um,
bragging to him.
Yeah, guess
And
that's a choice.
his motivation is he wants to be a hero. Period. He
Mhm.
wants to be. That's it.
Well,
And he might go up in flames one day,
He
but whatever.
shouldn't want to die. Actually, his bomb is maybe my favorite. When the headphones have a bomb
Yeah,
in it.
Oh,
and
yeah.
he's breathing really heavy and sweating
Yeah.
and stuff. It's a
And
good
he
scene.
can't hear what's going on.
Yeah,
He
I
can't
mean,
listen.
he could have done this. Actually,
No,
no,
he
I can
couldn't
feel
have.
it pulling
No,
off
'cause
my
it
left
was-
ear. Yeah.
yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah, no. Because
That's-
like if
that's
you
why
got
it
a
was
bomb
like
on your
a-
head, you don't know what the triggers are. So like,
Yeah, it could be here.
so-
Yeah.
That's why they had that landmine bit at the
Yeah.
beginning to
because like
show what
if
the
you
stakes
if
are.
you find yourself like near an explosive, it's best to like you're supposed to leave it alone and
Freeze. Yeah.
call the authorities. So that's exactly what he did. He left it completely alone on his head and didn't move. He just used his one toe to speed dial on his phone, which was like right at his foot.
I'm
So like
impressed
he
that he
did
set
exactly
that
what you're
up.
supposed to do. Like just like don't touch it.
Yeah, I'm impressed that he was able to do that in this day and age. This is one of those movies that could easily be solved by cell phone, like every situation.
Sure.
But that's okay.
No, there would just be more cell phones blowing up then.
That's true.
That's true.
That's the plot of phone booth or
Maybe.
cellular or what?
Oh yeah.
Singular, yes.
Yeah.
I love Tommy Lee Jones's performance in this. I feel like this is one of the movies that Heath Ledger watched before doing The Dark Knight. I could see that version of the Joker in this. Which is funny because I'm like, I guess this is how Tommy Lee Jones got Two-Face
Probably.
a
Oh,
couple
that's
years later.
It's his back-to-back
This
performances.
is, yes.
He's very tongue-in-cheek in the movie. It's funny.
Yeah.
The
Which-
part where he's on the phone with him and he's bouncing on the kid's bed.
That was such a good scene. When you're like,
yeah.
where is he? Why does that look like the bedroom from earlier? Oh,
Psycho.
yeah. And he's
Very good.
perfectly calm about a lot of things. So it's a good or a good psycho role for him to chew
Yeah.
on. And
I'll
just
tell you what,
nothing but revenge.
They wait for the money shot until the end. They get it from multiple angles when that shipyard blows up. It might be one of the big pyrotechnics in the movie.
Did you know it blew out 8,000 windows in Boston? That
Yeah, I
actually
think it's one
did.
of the biggest on record.
Yeah, yeah. I feel
It's
proud of
amazing
that.
to look at. It's very dazzling to look at.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Another thing Jimmy was impressed that they didn't die from because they're still on the pier running away from.
Yeah, like they're right there. It's like that's a pretty big boom.
Hey,
With
John McClane
with nails in
survived
his
Die
name.
Hard with Vengeance, so
What,
Obviously, I said this is a guilty pleasure. Did anyone legitimately think this was going to stand out as one of the best action films? I think, like you said, with the direction, the style, that's what stands out. So I guess that's
Yeah, I
what.
think it's more of a thriller
keeps
than
it.
an action film, honestly. I mean, yeah,
That's
sure,
true.
there's plenty enough action, but like I've felt more because like when Jeff Bridges' characters like friends like died like one by one, each by each, like you started like worrying about like his soon to be wife and like stepdaughter.
Oh, that's a good scene too.
Yeah, so like I was like, oh, they're gonna die. Like
Uh-huh.
surely they must. They gotta, because like just that just like just levels up the just the emotional value, right? Right? They're gonna die, and then they
Yeah.
didn't, so that's a good thing. But like it did boil down to a typical Hollywood chase fight. One last surprise from the villain in the very
Oh,
end.
that's what I was going to ask.
So,
He
yeah.
like he goes to their cottage down Long Island, sets a bomb into their car, allows them to or maybe not Long Island, I guess the Cape. I'm too
Yeah,
New
okay,
York.
yeah.
I'm too New York based. So they come back from the Cape, which is a long way. You're always going to be stuck in traffic, and lets that car get back to July 4th celebrations.
Yeah, see, that was the most unrealistic part of this whole movie.
Yeah.
No traffic.
Yeah.
And then that's when it's going to work. Like,
and nobody on the beach.
well, there's parts of Cape Cod that are not as packed. Like they're not up in Provincetown. They're probably in the middle of the Cape.
What does that remind you of that came out a couple months earlier?
Oh, so this is the thing I was going to transition to. I was going
Wait.
to say, looking at the box office, you can tell Speed totally overwhelmed this coming out just before it. Like they're two mad bombers facing off against a cop. It's easy to boil it down to like, I already had Speed. We don't, or is that joke? We have Speed at home and it's blown away.
Yeah.
No, it's
Which is weird because like nowadays, like we're so into like content consumption, and like you get another version of something, you're like, yeah, no, I gotta check it out. See what it's about.
You got to see who wore it better.
But
This
back
is
then, it's
like,
just like, no, it was already like I saw the one, not gonna bother with the other.
this is like when Ants in a Bug's Life came out the same year, Armageddon and Deep Impact. So people
Oh,
are like,
yeah.
which one's better? It's like you could like both. I think Speed and Blown Away are good on their own
It's the-
merits.
Listen,
Oh,
Coke
yeah.
Coke has to have his Pepsi, all right?
Right. Yeah.
So
Volcano. You know, it's funny. Tommy Lee Jones has a similar situation with Volcano and
Oh,
Dante's
Dante's
Peak.
Peak. Yeah.
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 But
I
wasn't
like
there
both
like
of those.
I like
what
Volcano
was that?
better.
Treasure Planet and the other movie at the same time too.
Yeah, I think so. What are you
Oh,
thinking of?
Titan AE.
Yeah. They're very
Yeah.
similar. Yeah. And no one liked
Both
either.
good movies. Just Titan AE did better.
Yeah, with Volcano and Dante's Peak. I mean, it's clearly different. They just both happen to be volcano movies.
Same thing
It's
with
like,
the-
okay, there's a trend. Yeah, and like Dante's Peak is off in the countryside where there's a small village being threatened, and Volcano's in the middle of the La Brea tar pits in LA. Like,
Right.
we can have both. Same as this.
if the situation happened nowadays, they just call it part of a multiverse.
Yeah.
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 There'd be some sort of franchise handshake and be like, oh no.
Yeah.
Tommy Lee Jones was also the speed guy.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it was definitely not doing well. It even, I think the first week didn't get, it wasn't even the top one of the week. Yeah, the poster boy we're going to do later was the best new movie, and that even came in third. Lion King was dominating the box office. Speed was, I think, in second. And then it still was just always above it. And it came out the beginning of July. So by the time we're recording this, which is on the 20th, last week, it was already gone. So it lasted maybe 3 weeks at the box office, which is pretty poor performance for even getting, I think, 10 million its first week. It's
Right.
not, it just didn't have legs because Speed was the one people went to. And that
Because
was
when you think about it, like Speed was also, speaking as someone who's never seen it, because I only have the fucking bonus disc, but it's my understanding that that's more like popcorn blockbuster flick, whereas this one is a bit more cerebral.
Mhm.
I think like this is
Oh,
a thinking
can be
man's
both.
bomb movie.
Yeah.
I think actually Speed is a little more highbrow than it's given credit for.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
they're both one of the better action films of the 90s. Like they both
Well, I mean,
let you
more
think.
like different pace was more what I was getting at. Like it's
Yeah.
still action, but one is literally called Speed. The other one is like,
For the most part, Speed is spent on the bus. And this actually spends a good amount of many months to take place. It takes place over the course of almost a year. Because you have the breakout, they say once they figure out who the Mad Bomber is, they're like, he broke out of jail last November.
it's a slow burn, if you will. How many instances do we have of both Jeff and Lloyd Bridges being in the same film?
A couple. There's of other films.
I don't
Yeah, I
think
mean,
it's
just in general, I don't. This is the first time I've seen them in something
I
together.
Googled, there was a film Beau Bridges, Jeff's brother, made in the 70s or 80s with like the
Fabulous
whole
Baker Boys?
family. Yeah, what was it called?
Fabulous Baker Boys.
Oh, they were together in the Fabulous Baker Boys, and I believe Lloyd makes a cameo or has a small role. I don't remember. I've never seen Fabulous Baker Boys. That's why I'm asking you.
Neither have I.
Okay.
I just know.
I Googled them together when we were watching, and I think so the one I was talking about with Beau Bridges directing was like the Thanksgiving Wish or something. And then I believe Lloyd also makes a cameo in Tucker the Man in His Dream. And I know that they were, I think both brothers, Beau and Jeff, were in Lloyd Bridges' TV show. He had a show called The Lloyd Bridges Show in the 60s. But I think that's it. So there are 3 movies, but there's no significant parts that they share a lot of time together. And obviously I haven't seen Tucker or Baker Boys, but I can't imagine it's more than like a small conversation in those. So
Yeah.
this is the big one. When you Google it, Blown Away comes up.
Oh, that's crazy. Well, I was, we're talking about how Speed overtook this at the box office. This was originally supposed to come out in April.
Mm-hmm. First.
Yeah. So,
So this
MGM
had been
was
the
just like,
beloved one.
but MGM was so confident in it, they're like, we're gonna hold off.
Mm,
If you're
silly.
confident, if you're
Keanu-
confident in it,
Mistake.
send it out.
Speed was supposed to be a bomb. Speed's a big surprise.
Yeah. Which apparently I don't know, Jeff Bridges turned down the lead for that too.
Oh, did he really? I didn't see
Yeah.
that.
Imagine Jeff Bridges instead of Keanu.
That's kind of cool,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, just place this character in there.
Right. Exactly. He's like, I'm gonna do a Mad Bomber movie no matter what happens.
Have you guys ever seen High Noon?
Yeah.
I
yeah.
just know this trivia, but Lloyd Bridges is in it as one of the side characters. And apparently, Beau and Jeff would come to set, and they're kids at the time. And there's like an important scene where Lloyd Bridges is tensely facing off, discussing the showdown that's coming later in the film at High Noon with Gary Cooper. And Beau and Jeff kept like giggling in the hayloft above where the scene was being shot, and they were pissing Gary Cooper off so much that he had to like have them removed.
Yeah.
Those little scamps.
Those fabulous
Ah.
Bridges boys.
Yep. Was there any trivia you were seeing? I forgot to look at IMDb yet again.
I'm just doing some
Silly.
late
Silly
scrolling
dog.
here.
Yeah. There's a couple of the films we just covered just didn't have any trivia. That's the whole thing. So I kind of forget to look it up. And they
Yeah.
often have the same trivia on Wikipedia anyway. So when I'm making the guide for us, it's not that big of a deal. Anyway.
Just a piece of shrapnel almost killed Jeff Bridges.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, there we go.
Safe.
Yeah.
Cool. This would have been another the Crow situation.
Oh my
Oh
God.
no.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
imagine
would've
that.
sucked.
That's
No.
the world we live in.
Oh, also we forgot to talk about the fact that the score done
Oh, our
by
buddy.
Alan Silvestri.
Yeah.
It was really good.
Yeah,
I like it.
it's heart pounding.
Yes.
Yeah.
Richard Harris was considered for the part that Lloyd Bridges did. I think I read that there were
You wanna-
scheduling difficulties.
You guys want to hear the alternate list for Jimmy?
Sure.
Okay, so instead of Jeff Bridges, it could have been Kevin Bacon, Alec Baldwin, Michael Biehn, Bruce Campbell, Kevin Costner, Michael Douglas, Richard Dreyfuss, Harrison Ford, Richard Gere, Mel Gibson, Michael Keaton, Michael Lambert, Viggo Mortensen, Chuck Norris, Dennis Quaid, Mickey Rourke, Kurt Russell,
Holy
Arnold
crap.
Schwarzenegger, Tom Selleck, Sylvester Stallone, and Patrick Swayze, and Bruce Willis.
So
Well,
the
that's
action
played-
stars that
like,
existed.
Right, basically they were just like,
He wanted
all
every
right,
Who wants to
yeah,
do this?
like we want everyone. But I'm wondering how many they went to before
Right.
this.
Yeah, it doesn't say that.
No, it was probably just like when they were writing it, they're like, you know, it'd be good for this, you know, it'd be good for this, and then they just like had a running list, the wish list. But now I just want to see like a sequel where all of them come in, and all of it, like it's the Expendables, but they're the bad guys. Like,
I was about to say that's just the Expendables.
right, right.
You can tell from my tone that I love this movie. Like this is definitely nostalgia for me, but I still think it holds up as like a little bit of a guilty pleasure, hidden gem, especially given that it's overshadowed by Speed. It doesn't have to be. We can love them both.
Yeah.
But I'd give Speed an A+. I'd give this an A+.
Oh, okay.
They're both good at their own things.
I'd probably give it a B+ for sure. I think it's definitely underappreciated. It's a little ludicrous at times, but that's okay. And Tommy Lee Jones' very campy performance helps alleviate a lot of that. And Jeff Bridges is actually a really good heroic foil. I could see him doing action movies, but sadly it wasn't in the cards. He did more dramatic stuff. But yeah, it has no right being as neglected as it was at the time.
Maybe he didn't want to get blown up by a bomb on set.
Yep. I liked it. Probably I'd give it an A because I have to be above Cory, but it was,
Wow.
Of course,
no, it was.
Yes, letters.
I don't know. I enjoyed it. It was good. I don't know. I have nothing more to add to. Although we also
Yeah,
didn't
no.
talk about the fact that the girl from Richie Rich was in it as the stepdaughter.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Oh, that's what yeah, okay.
What?
I
Was she
didn't
the girl
notice
from
that.
Richie Rich?
Yes.
Holy shit, okay, that's weird.
All right.
That's why I'm like, where have I seen that face? And I used to watch Richie Rich like all the time. So.
We didn't really talk about Susie Amos either. She's pretty good. I actually liked the proposal scene where she comes in and she's like, "How you doing today?" And he's like, "Not great. There was a bomb." And she's like, "Well, are you going to keep doing this?" And he's like, "Well, I'm going to propose to you now at this normal dinner that I started before you got here."
Right.
that was a bad honeymoon though.
His best friend dies.
Yeah.
Go look out the balcony. Holy shit! There's a mushroom cloud.
That was a big bomb.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
that really
Yeah,
should be done.
that was
That was a little over the top. Okay.
Yeah.
that should have knocked
No.
out a few windows.
No, you know what? I
Uh,
changed my answer to B+ because there was no traffic and that bomb was a little that one explosion
Aw.
was a little
Oh
big.
yeah, the tunnel wasn't built yet to get into the city.
Oh, fair.
So there would
Wow.
have been a ton of traffic.
Yeah.
That car
Well, now
chase
that
scene
Jeff-
should not have happened.
Sticklers. What do you think,
Oh.
Jimmy?
I'm gonna give it an A-, because like it was a good movie and it basically followed the rules on like action thriller. So like it's a shame that it wasn't more successful because honestly, not gonna lie, like because of that, I probably could have tuned out a few times and just like not missed anything. But like I stayed tuned in
Yeah,
because
it's not
like it was good. It did build up suspense in all the
I
right
mean,
spots. It did drag a little bit in others.
I always thought this would be
Whoa.
like a cult classic level, but whenever I bring it up, it's like, oh, I love Blown Away. Everyone's like, I've heard of that, but they never seen it.
Is that the Speed knockoff?
Right. It's what I always get.
I feel like it got a lot of play on HBO in the '90s, so that's where I
Probably.
obviously I didn't see.
Yeah, I
this.
think I caught that Forrest Whitaker scene with the bomb and the headphones a few times on television. The rest of the movie is a bit hazy because I don't think I've seen this movie from beginning to end ever.
Okay, let's move on.
Yeah,
Let's stop disparaging this movie. Love it.
I mean, we gave it a good grade.
Don't look too closely at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
we're gonna change it up a bit this month because we actually have 6 movies instead of 5.
Couldn't decide. There's so many good ones.
Yeah, so actually, I'm gonna go from 6 to 1. So number 6 is actually Tommy Lee Jones again. Only this time he's in a John Grisham adaptation, which is The Client.
Is that Brad Renfro?
It's Brad Renfro. He witnesses a mob accountant's suicide, and then the the mobster comes looking for him, and they have to keep him in witness protection and everything. Even though I'm pretty sure you're not allowed to publish minors' names in the paper that are associated with any crimes or anything like that.
Is that literally how the mob finds out from the
They
newspaper?
interview him on TV, and I'm pretty sure
Oh,
you're not allowed to believe it.
No, that's not good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so the movie's a little preposterous. That's why I wasn't a huge fan of it rewatching it. But Tommy Lee Jones is solid. He plays the lawyer. He always lends gravitas to stuff like this, even though this movie is pinging on the plausibility meter.
Would have been so much easier just to have it be that the mob knows how to find people, right?
Well, that's the other thing. The movie's very condescending to poor white trash. The mom is actually Mary Louise Parker.
Ooh.
She's playing such a stereotypical trailer trash woman who
Hmm.
neglects her kids and just lets them go off wherever they want. Yeah, so John Grisham clearly didn't have a great view of the South. But my number 5 movie is a usually maligned movie by people who haven't seen it, which is Rob Reiner's North. It's not nearly as bad as its reputation is. It's certainly not good. The humor's at like a sitcom level, and that also deals with a lot of stereotypes for the humor. Because it's about Elijah Wood wants to get emancipated from his parents, but in order to do that, within 30 days, he has to find alternate parents. It's based on a Alan Y. Bell book, so it's supposed to be kind of a fantasy. Bruce Willis pops up throughout the movie doing just the laziest walk-ons as different characters. So I can see why Ebert hated the movie.
That's what he did in his review, right?
Yes.
This movie almost broke Ebert.
Yes. But I mean, in terms of stuff that Rob Reiner's done lately, it might actually look better in comparison. There's a couple moments of levity in it, but the humor is just like, I'll give you an example of the humor. The first person that comes in contact with Elijah Wood's character that wants to take his case is John Lovitz, and he plays a literal ambulance chasing lawyer. But my number 3 movie is something that is a huge beloved classic for Tristan, which is Angels in the Outfield.
Oh,
That is a good movie.
You want to talk about this a little?
it could happen. Yeah, I love this movie. This was a movie I watched a ton of times, a couple times in theaters even. So that's why I love Danny Glover. It's one of the many baseball movies that happened throughout the 90s, but it's also a remake of a 50s, 60s movie, which was a little more straightforward and a little darker. But it's basically Joseph Gordon-Levitt is a kid who just wishes his dad wouldn't abandon him. And his dad always like motorcycles in and kind of says hello, and then it's like, I gotta go, kid. And he just wants a father figure. So he and his best friend always try to sneak into games at the Angels. And it's easy back then to just like climb a fence and peek over and watch the game. But they end up befriending Danny Glover, who's the put upon manager of the Angels, who's, as with all these baseball movies, his team is in the basement. And so for some reason, these kids seem to be good luck charms. And that's when Joseph Gordon-Levitt somehow sees Angels, the leader of which is played by Christopher Lloyd. And they sort of like help some of the baseball players catch a fly ball that they could not catch without supernatural help. And some of the baseball players are like Neil McDonough, Adrian Brody, Matthew McConaughey. So it's kind of a cool cast, especially for like early roles of all those guys. It's a little goofy because it's a kid's film, but it has a lot of heart. And that's like the thing I was doing. That's how they get everybody. It's like the wave. It all comes together in the end. Yeah, I watch this a lot. I burned through this VHS a ton. And it made me a huge fan of Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I was glad he has had this long career, including Beverly Hills Cop that just came out, or 4. I think he's had a great career.
Now these next 3 movies are way up there in terms of like the year. Like I would almost put these on my top 10 because they're all so good. But number 3 is The Mask, which was one of the 3 big movies that made Jim Carrey a huge star around this time.
This is the third of 3, right? We did Dumb and Dumber and Ace Ventura earlier.
I think Dumb and Dumber is later this year.
Oh, is this number 2? Okay.
Yeah.
I was
8, and then this, and then Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah.
I was obsessed.
Me too.
Do you want to talk about this one?
I had Cuban Pete on repeat.
So The Mask, sure, I'll take. Okay, so Jim Carrey plays mild-mannered
Stanley
bank teller. Yes, he's just like works at a bank, whatever. But he's also really into cartoons. This is like one of the first movies where it's just like, oh, grown-ups can have hobbies outside of their boring day job.
Yeah.
And that goes full throttle when he finds a magical mask that floated by up to his house, whatever. And then, because the whole thing is it like enhances whatever your greatest strengths are or whatever. And so it's just he becomes a literal cartoon character, or like has the powers of a cartoon character.
Pretty cool. What would our powers
Which
be?
is
Let me not tangent.
yeah. No, but it was it was fun. It was the first book or the first movie that made me like, oh, I saw the novelization on a shelf at the library. Let me read the book version of this movie that I love so much.
It's crazy. A lot of the special effects still hold up, and even the ones that don't, you're just like, well, it's a cartoon.
Right.
Basically,
Exactly.
a live-action cartoon. It's a Tex Avery cartoon come to life.
Yeah.
But it also
So-
was like one of the first heavily CGI'd movies, and it
Yes.
set a bunch of records for like the most like the longest render time on something, like when his eyes pop out at the club or
Yeah.
something. There was something about that shot that was like it had never been done before. So it was a groundbreaking film in itself that way.
No, but yeah, I think we all agree. We all love this movie.
Yeah.
Oh,
Does
yeah.
Jimmy? Okay, good.
Oh yeah, childhood classic. Come on.
So back when
And who didn't watch the cartoon show of
It was-
Mask
oh yeah, that's
afterwards?
It was just
Yeah, come on.
it was just Jim Carrey like naturally.
at the peak of his abilities.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean
Those
like
movies,
they
I
just
can't imagine
it
anybody
was
else.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
probably like the most animated, like comedic actor person on television and at the time. So like, yeah, why not?
Back when James Cameron was doing non-Avatar movies, he did an action comedy called Blue Eyes, which actually was a rebound for Arnold because Last Action Hero underperformed because of Jurassic Park. So
Mm-hmm.
he had at least a reliable vehicle with James Cameron after that. I think that this movie's a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
And Jamie Lee Curtis, yeah, I heard a story that he fought to get her top billing on the poster, Arnold.
Mm.
As he should. She's a big part of the reason why the movie works. Their chemistry is great, and she gives a really good comedic performance.
Really showcased that she was probably one of the best actresses at the time.
Yeah.
It's a shame she hasn't done more. I mean,
It's
even with what she's
won an
done,
Oscar.
I don't know. I could have used more Jamie in the 90s.
All right, so my number one movie of the month, no surprise, Forrest Gump,
Mm.
which is a beautifully whimsical journey through time with do we want to say idiot savant? I don't know what this.
He probably like he was probably like autistic or something. Like nowadays, like
We
with the
didn't know what
knowledge
to
that we
say,
gotta
yeah.
like. So back then they because like the way that they labeled him like because they tested him and like he was on the line for something, like he was like
he
like
was
he wasn't
just
quite dumb but like he wasn't exactly smart but like
He's simple.
he was
Right.
just
Simple
a little
Jack.
like
bit-
it was it
Simple
was just like
Jack.
one of those things that was just easier to say you a simpleton
Yeah,
you
he's
dumb
just
boy
a little bit
so
bit
like
different. He had cinematic simplicity syndrome,
There you go.
which is
Yeah.
What a nice way of saying that.
it's not a specific thing. It's just this is his struggle. Don't look too deeply into it.
Speaking of like special effects,
I've
the way that
not.
they integrate him into a lot of found footage and stuff like that, really well done.
Yeah. Did that win the Oscar? I should look that up.
It did because everybody was mad
Coulda.
it beat Pulp Fiction, which
Yeah.
in hindsight, they're both great movies.
Not for Best Picture. I meant for visual effects.
Oh,
Because we just talked about the two vastly different but very impressive visual effects of the year.
right.
And we all know Forrest Gump won Best Picture.
Might be too subtle for them to even reward that.
Yeah.
Did you all like Forrest Gump?
oh yeah
I was
who didn't
I'm not the biggest fan of it.
No? Why not?
Well, I rewatched it. I'm like, this is kind of
You could see why it tugged at the
Tedious.
heartstrings.
tedious
Oh,
is
you
the
know.
word I'd
Well, it's
say.
Robert Zemeckis. What do you expect?
Yeah.
I say that with all the love in my heart because he directed my favorite movie of all time. But
not
It's
gonna
fine,
lie
but he's got a certain style.
yeah not gonna lie
Um,
that movie like I'm originally from Tennessee so like I see that movie I'm like yeah no talk about Alabama but like yeah it's close enough
So the three nominees for visual effects were Forrest Gump, The Mask, and True Lies.
What
Those
one?
3 films. Forrest Gump, obviously.
Okay.
Obviously. Even
It's
though The
that
Mask
feather.
is
It was-
probably the biggest visual effects and the most impressive, Forrest Gump,
Listen,
put him next to Nixon.
well,
Yeah.
also don't forget
Yeah.
that
And Lennon.
feather at the beginning and end of the movie.
Oh yeah, that was super
Yeah.
I
important.
got
Oh yeah, and all
Oh,
that
they-
warfare when he was in Vietnam. Come on.
Yeah, that definitely wasn't real people or anything.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Just
I'm gonna
a
hold
shot on
back.
location.
Oh.
Poster boy.
Yeah, let's do Poster Boy before I
Yeah,
shit
yeah.
on
Let's do
Forrest
Post-it
Gump,
Boy,
a beloved film that everyone seems to
Come on.
like but me.
a beloved all-American film, man. How dare you?
I'm not
No, I'm sorry.
I
patriotic.
think I made it to the list of, like what people consider some of the most overrated Oscar winners.
Like, yeah, Forrest Gump.
Well,
Oh,
Yeah. it did
My
set the
God.
standard though for a little while. A little
Yeah.
while.
okay.
So, do you
So-
know? Can you tell what this film is without?
No,
Okay, good.
I
Nice.
don't think so. Surprisingly not.
I don't know if you've seen this. I watched this for my cinematography class.
Interesting.
Hmm
All right.
That is actually a hint
Good to know.
in a way.
So, all right. It's a darkish poster with, it's got that thing with everybody's faces emanating from the center, but they all seem to be starting at this like Zoltar fortune teller fellow. Then it goes out, there's like a woman in white who looks like some sort of dancer. There's some guy who's probably a stand-in for either Winston Churchill or the mob.
Yeah.
There's a dude with looks like crazed Nicolas Cage with a Roman candle.
It's a machine gun.
Yeah,
The
it's a machine-
sparkle, I was staring at it while I was editing, and
People
it's just
long
hard to
legs.
tell.
And then some, classy, probably spy looking guy.
Who is the star? And that's
who
why
is
I
the star,
rubbed his
I
face out.
Right. And then a gleaming eye peeking out of the darkness with a crusty old hand holding some sort of angry looking amulet. And a spear. There's a spear. I guess it's not an amulet. It's a
Sacrificial
Like a
knife.
dagger.
It's a
Yeah.
dagger.
Yeah, ceremonial knife, I should say.
Ceremonial
not
knife.
Yeah. You know what this
Yeah.
is,
All right.
Jimmy?
So
No,
Okay.
the
Maybe.
guy,
Okay.
I might.
Don't get him.
I feel
Oh,
like
yeah.
Yeah.
the lead is Alec Baldwin.
Nice job. That was going to be one of the questions,
Wow.
obviously.
I'd
Oh, wait.
recognize
Yeah, no, I
that
know what this
hairline.
movie is.
Yeah.
I'd recognize that hairline anyway.
Like, I know
Yeah.
that
No
word.
rust on that. So
Oh man.
I
No,
blurred this
yeah.
out because the shape might give it away if you really knew
Yeah.
this film.
No, it looks like it's probably got a hat. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah. Okay.
It's kind of an
some,
iconic hat.
some sort of
Yeah,
dark,
that shading though.
some sort of
Mhm,
dark,
mhm, mhm, mhm.
shadowy figure.
Mm.
Is this the shadow?
Yes, it is.
Wow. That
So
was the
just
fastest you figured it out.
he's known well, yeah, I guess if you don't necessarily know it right away, this
Yeah.
might be the fastest you figured it out. So I did this version was actually kind of like a French print. Cory showed this to me as like a one sheet. It just has the title, so that's why it doesn't have any credits at the bottom, because the quotes or the taglines were in French in the other version of this. But do you know the quote? I just want to see if you get some bonus points.
The shadow knows.
That's the
Who
answer.
knows? The shadow knows.
That's the answer.
Who
The tagline
knows?
is like, what was it, Cory?
What lurks in the hearts of men?
The shadow
Ah,
knows. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
just
yeah, that
based
is-
on this is the meat of it. If you had figured everything out ahead of time, I would ask this anyway. Just based on this, without the title, do you want to try and come up with a title and a plot? Like if you didn't know of the shadow.
Cloak and dagger.
Nice. Yeah, that's not bad.
The plot looks like Indiana Jones, but with a spy instead of an archaeologist.
Yeah. Honestly, that's not that bad.
Like
I don't know what else you could say, honestly.
Same plot, that I feel like that would actually be Winston Churchill.
Yeah, this is that gentleman movie from earlier this year, Ungentlemanly Warfare, but in
Yeah.
'94.
Like basically, so it's some James Bond type character is on a mission and then he accidentally like lets loose evil spirits from a bygone age, and then it goes from a spy movie into an adventure movie.
Has that happened before? That sounds like a good movie.
It feels like I think
That's
it's
kind
The
of what the
Mummy.
shadow is.
I think I'm thinking of The Mummy.
Well, he's not a spy. He's just an
No.
adventurer. He was part of the French Foreign Legion. So
Yeah.
The Shadow.
Well,
You
I
can
think
see the
originally
iconic-
the Shadow was supposed to be like some sort of crime fighter in the comics.
right.
So,
So
Yeah.
spy.
So I remember The Phantom.
Well, that's
Oh,
the thing.
yeah.
This
I was-
is- This
I know
isn't
that-
a series of films that's The Rocketeer, The Shadow, The Phantom. They're all like pulp movies that were
Dick
popular.
Tracy.
None
Yeah.
of which Dick Tracy is like the most popular one of the four because it got nominated for Best Picture and did well at the box office. But the fact that no one really cares anymore is that all four of them have kind of fallen away to hidden gems. Like this was an
Yeah.
alternate choice to cover, but we did both Dick Tracy and The Rocketeer, and I really wanted to do Blown Away. So
The
I
Shadow's
think
fun, though. The
yeah,
production
Shadow's a lot of fun.
is amazing.
Have you ever seen The Shadow, Jeff?
No,
We should watch that. See if
Yeah.
you might have liked this better than Blown Away.
I'll add it to the list.
Legit. Alec Baldwin, I think, gives one of his best performances. Honestly, he's very charming, very debonair. Like this is rife for a reboot, even if it's not Alec Baldwin. I honestly, after you say that plot line, I kind of want to see like a James Bond, Indiana Jones movie.
You know
Maybe I
what?
just like pulp movies.
You know, what weird consequence of this movie is.
Hmm.
Originally Sam Raimi signed on to direct. He didn't like the way the
Dark
script
Man.
was going because he's a huge he's a huge fan of the Shadow. So he's like, I'll go and create my own Shadow, and he made Darkman.
A few years before this too, so this must have been in development hell for a
Yeah.
bit. I wouldn't mind covering the Phantom next year. I've never seen it.
I
Or in
love
2 years from now. Cool.
That
Cool.
one I think I've seen.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah?
remember anything about it, but I think that was the one like of that series.
more
of
Indiana
movies,
Jones.
that and the Rocketeer.
I'd probably love it.
But I had never seen Dick Tracy until we watched it for this.
Yeah. I mean, if I like the Phantom, it's 4 for 4. They're all good.
Yeah,
I may just like this genre, you know?
yeah, it's a really good genre.
Shadow's not on
Pulp-
anything right now.
Pulp noir superheroes.
Yeah.
It's a
Mhm.
good
Yeah.
it's a good genre to like.
Yeah, the Mummy could be in that, you know?
Yeah.
That quality.
Kind of taking a universal horror character and making it a pulp. So, we were thinking, we haven't covered Tommy Lee Jones on the podcast thus far. And I don't know, his 90s, he starts to rocket to fame. I mean, after winning his Oscar last year, he has 3 good movies this year. He's in a huge blockbuster next year and the year after and the year after that. Men in Black, Volcano, Batman Forever, etc. So he doesn't really have any other hidden gems other than this in the 90s. So this might be our best chance to cover Tommy for the picks of the month.
I'm gonna go Rolling Thunder,
Ooh, that's an interesting choice.
which is a Paul Schrader revenge movie. With William Devane plays a Vietnam vet who comes back, whose wife and child are murdered by some thugs, and he goes on a path of
Hate when that
revenge.
happens.
Happens all to him.
Let's see, what's a good? Oh, I know what I'm gonna do.
I don't know.
Do you? Do you want to guess?
I think I do.
There's a lot of good movies. I love them.
Men in Black.
You're going Men in Black.
Yeah.
Pretty easy.
It's safe.
Safe.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
there,
no,
there
it's
are
a-
there are others.
It's in my top 10 films.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, he's going Men in Black.
I'm not. Jeff is.
Oh, Jeff is going Men in Black.
Jeff is. I'm not going Men in Black.
No, actually, maybe I might think I know where you go with the 3 burials of I forget his name.
Melquiades Estrada. So Tommy Lee Jones is also a decorated filmmaker. He won, I think, Cannes for 3 Burials.
I think so.
I believe so. Yeah. Whatever the silver bear or whatever it is, silver lion. That might be Venice. I don't remember. But he also directed a film called The Homesman and wrote it as well. He also directed The Sunset Limited, which was on HBO. But those are his 3 directing films. And I actually like The Homesman even more. I am not a big fan of Hilary Swank, mostly because I was bitter that she beat Annette Bening twice for the Oscar. But that's another story. Whatever. I've gotten over that, but partly because of The Homesman, which is an even more underrated film than 3 Burials. And it also showcases his love for Westerns. He's like a Texas boy, you know. It's very much like 3 Burials, like solemn. And I think if you see both of those, you really get what Tommy Lee Jones is about. And I think The Homesman is even better than 3 Burials. So that's actually my pick.
Oh, okay. I gotta eventually watch this movie.
Uh-huh. I'm worried you're not going to like it.
Next.
What are you thinking, Jimmy?
Oh, yeah, I was originally gonna go with Men in Black, but then like Jeff got it. So I'm gonna go with probably like the first like other movie that I saw him in was like wowed, US Marshals.
Okay.
Follow
Not
up
the
to
yeah.
Fugitive.
Yeah, I hadn't seen The Fugitive yet. I saw US
Huh.
Marshals first. So,
He
like,
saw it backwards.
Yeah.
yeah, it's fine, whatever. I was
Alright.
like,
He's doing the same performance.
yeah, so
not a
after
bad
like
film.
seeing no, it's not, but like in terms of like seeing other movies that Tommy Lee Jones does, like after Men in Black, like that one, like it still stuck out. It was still good. I liked it a lot. I don't really remember most of the movie, But like, you know,
I could go on and on about all the performances I like. I think he's great in Rules of Engagement. I think
yeah,
Double
Wait.
Jeopardy is an underrated guilty pleasure. He comes back a little bit when he does that. What's that movie he was nominated for where he's trying to find James Franco or whatever his son's missing? In the Valley of Elah. Is that what it was? We saw it together, Cory. Lincoln, he's nominated for an Oscar. He's quietly stealing the movie from Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yep.
Oh,
Just great.
Joe's Gordon Levitt's in that.
He is as Robert
Space
Todd.
Cowboys. Oh, wait.
Space Cowboys.
Space
Let me talk about.
Cowboys.
I could talk about Space Cowboys
And
for
also,
days.
That's
and also
Oh, yeah.
small soldiers.
Which
Oh yeah, you're right.
never seen.
Skip Hazard.
You
You
never
gotta
saw Small
watch.
Soldiers?
Yeah, I've never seen Small Soldiers.
I
you're
have
missing
it
out, buddy.
sitting on a shelf. I
We'll
literally.
put it on the list.
I want to watch. Right, exactly.
Wow.
Been on the list
I
for
do have it.
25 years.
Yeah, I want to watch that again.
We tried to go see it because it was,
was-
what, a summer film,
it was
Mom and I?
We'll
Tommy-
cover it on the podcast.
Tommy
Mhm.
Lee Jones and David Cross in the same movie.
And Dennis Lee-
Mom refused to go see it. So she thought it was crass. It's
Mhm.
like, all right, I guess I gotta wait. And then I never saw it.
Crass. Weren't you like 13 when that came out?
Listen.
I was gonna say, it
Yeah, that
wasn't
would have been perfect.
It was
Yeah.
98.
Yeah. I tried to convince her and it didn't work. It's one of the few times it didn't work. We watched a lot of shit. So
But that's the thing. Like you're watching all these other rated R movies, but she wouldn't let. But Small Soldiers was crass.
I think it was like they blow up cars. I don't know. She saw the trailer and was like, I don't want to see that.
Can we go see Toy Story? We have Toy Story at home.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I have it. It's sitting upstairs because I bought it specifically. And like, you can't find this movie anywhere.
I know.
Like that was one of the last things I like the most recent physical media purchases.
Okay. Well, I'm coming over later.
Okay.
Physical media is still alive because Jeff has Small Soldiers.
Yeah, good. So
Okay.
next month we're going back down under. We haven't been there since Quigley brought us there, but
Hmm.
we're gonna check out some true Aussies. This is what brought, I
Aussies?
think, Aussies, whatever. So this brought to attention of the U.S. audiences a lot of really good actors: Guy Pearce, Hugo Weaving, and then it's The Adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. I know
Oh, that
Pride Month
movie.
was last month, but this is our chance to like really talk about what was going on in the 90s with drag.
Oh yeah, and also like what was going on with Agent Smith before he was Agent Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what brought him to our attention. He's
Right.
fantastic in this movie. I don't know.
I didn't
have
know
you
Guy
seen
Pearce
this?
for this.
Yeah, Guy Pearce is one of the guys. Have you not seen this, Cory?
No, I have. I love it.
All right. Well, thanks for listening. Remember to rate. If you haven't subscribed yet, I don't know what's happening. Review us. I know no one's literally ever reviewed us, but I love it when it happens. I promise you I will. Very excited to get to Guy Pearce, another one of my favorite actors.
Oh yeah, your secret man crush.
Don't make it
Not so
unsecret.
Not so secret.
It's not so secret.
Yeah. It's just a memento for me. Oh, I could have been like, that's LA Confidential.